What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers. And join me here once again for our weekly Vols recap segment. The man himself, you know him, you'll love him, Mr. Joey Clinkscale. Joey, how you doing this afternoon, sir?
Great, Logan. How are you today?
I can't complain one bit on this Tuesday. We got a little bit of rain here in the Peach State the other day, much needed, but of course, we know Georgia here got the big win this past weekend. Hope to continue that into our next matchup. But we're talking about the Vols today, of course. Talking about Tennessee. Off last week, back on it once again this upcoming weekend. Taking on, and I know Vince Turner's going to have his eyes locked on this one. The Arkansas Razorbacks going to be in Neyland. So I know he's going to be glued to his television set watching this game this upcoming weekend. Before we dive into it, before we talk about the Razorbacks and the Volunteers and ultimately who we think will win that ball game, and of course talk about our legend here on the show. We'll get to him in just a few minutes. If you enjoy the video, ladies and gentlemen, like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. We go live here each and every single week with our Vols recap, but we also have other great shows as well, talking about all things NFL as well as college. A bunch of tremendous interviews with some of the game's greatest players, coaches, referees, or just amazing personalities we have here each and every single week. Once again, 100 Yards Football. Check us out, Facebook, YouTube, and download our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere you enjoy listening to your shows. We are there each and every single week. So, Mr. Clinkscale, without further ado, what are Tennessee's biggest challenges you have listed against the Razorbacks this upcoming week? Once again, Arkansas 2-3 on the season compared to Tennessee, who is the number 12 team in the nation, right there on the cusp, right there at the verge of the top 12 in the college football playoffs. Currently 4-1 overall, 1-1 against SEC opponents. Mr. Clinkscale, what challenges are they facing this upcoming weekend?
Well, I think overall the Vols' biggest challenge is fighting complacency. And what I mean by that is they're coming off a bye week. People are coming back healthy. They moved up in the rankings. They moved from 15 to 12. So a lot of things are working in their favor right now. But that's not the end goal. The end goal is to win the SEC championship. And if you win the SEC championship, everything else will take care of itself. So you have to dictate things on the field. And you have to have a singular mindset, whether you're playing Arkansas or you're playing Arkansas Tech. It really doesn't matter. Your mentality should be the same. It should be the same in practice. You're playing a nameless, faceless opponent. And guess what? You're going to go out and put your best performance on the field. But all that being said, they have to fight complacency at this point. They have a lot of expectations on them. They realize that. But again, every opponent is every Saturday, that's the most important opponent you have. Don't look down the road.
Yeah, no question about that. And Tennessee, we know that they have they can put up points with the best of them, right? I mean, their lowest scoring game so far this year was a lowly 41 points against Mississippi State. So right. We know the offense is clicking on all cylinders. You hope that obviously that can continue this upcoming weekend. But let's talk about these Arkansas Razorbacks, right? A team who just hoping to kind of get their footing in a way, right? Have lost 3 straight ball games in a row, not been pretty by any means necessary. But what do you think? What's their maybe biggest hurdle, or who are some guys that you can look out for to say, all right, if you're a Volunteers fan or a player or a coach, who are you scheming against, or what do you have to watch out for in order to protect your team and to get the win this upcoming weekend?
Well, Arkansas has gone through some changes. Obviously, they changed head coaches. They changed defensive personnel, defensive staff. So the scheme that they were running, while it won't be wholesale changes, there will be some changes offensively and especially defensively with the new additions on the defensive staff. But that being said, Arkansas, first and foremost, their quarterback, Tylen Green, who's 6'6", 236. He's got 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the season. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns. But guess what? He will probably be the best dual threat quarterback that Tennessee will see all year. I mean, he's already rushed, if I'm not mistaken, for 441 yards this season already. So along with the passing yardage, and again, Arkansas beat Tennessee last year. So this will be a big game for Tennessee coming home to Neyland Stadium. But everything at Arkansas starts with Tylen Green, their quarterback.
Yeah, and like I said, Green is someone who, stats wise, just individual basis, put up some good numbers overall. A little bit under 1,400 yards through the air, and as you mentioned, Joey's he's their leading rusher right now. 441 yards on the campaign, 2 touchdowns with the feet as well. So, like I said, he is a good dual threat quarterback. If you're Tennessee, might want to have a QB spy ready at sometimes, just because you never know when that young man's going to take off, get your first down, or even if you're Arkansas's case, get you to the end zone. But look, we know Arkansas that they're. It's going to be for me the biggest challenge for Tennessee is the uncertainty. Bobby Petrino is back on the sidelines. I don't know if that was on anyone's bingo card, a few weeks into the season, but that's just how it is for Arkansas after they fired Sam Pittman last week and decided to, just shake up the program a little bit. And, if you know anything about Coach Petrino is you don't know what to expect. Things might get a little bit that you might see some different plays this week for sure. Some trick plays because you're going up against a tough opponent. Sometimes you got to pull out, a rabbit out of the hat every once in a while to beat these good teams. And I think if you're Arkansas too, you got to get that fire, right? That fire underneath you saying, all right, the old regime is out, new regime is in. Might give you a punch in the arm and say, all right, let's get it going here. Let's see if maybe the coaching style, the personnel changes, as you mentioned, Joey, if that's what can maybe tap into this team that we haven't seen much of this year. Like, so they have 2 wins, but they're not against any notable opponents. Those are, early wins against teams that they should have been beating.
You know what? Coach Petrino right now is playing with house money. And what I mean by that is he's walking in the door. If they don't win, they're going to bring a new coach in anyway. So guess what? He's going to open up the bag of tricks. You have to expect that. He's going to do everything he can that he thinks can help Arkansas get over the hump. Put up a lot of points offensively, play sound defense. So you have to expect the unexpected when you have a coach coming in the middle of the season who's really he's the first to audition for the new head coach of Arkansas. So he's got everything on the table, and Tennessee has to be prepared for that.
Yeah, essentially, nothing to lose but everything to gain if you're Coach Petrino at this point in the season, just taking over. So we'll see. And Joey, one thing that I noticed, the 2 kind of big discrepancies with both these, good quality SEC teams, both with Tennessee and with Arkansas, is the differential, I think, on the D lines and then really just the defensive pressures in general. For Tennessee, they have a total of 21 sacks on the season compared to only Arkansas getting 11, and the majority of those, 5 of those being from Quincy Rhodes Jr., top defensive lineman there, someone to watch out for come draft season. But, I mean, do you think that Aguilar is going to continue to have, the performances he's had, week in, week out, pretty much all season long, for the Vols? Or do you think that maybe, like you said, with Coach Petrino as well as the pretty much brand new coaching staff and whatnot, and you think they're going to implement a couple of new plays here and there, a couple of new schemes that the Arkansas maybe could get to Joey this week? And I don't know about, take him down, 5-6 times, but at least put a little bit of pressure on the young quarterback.
Well, I've been impressed for the most part with Tennessee's offensive line. So I'm encouraged from that standpoint now compared to where they were last year. But that being said, Arkansas will come in with new blitz packages because really they've only had one real player who has affected the passer on a consistent basis. So I think they'll come in, they'll mix it up. They'll have different stunts and pressures, and you'll probably see a lot of coverage changes on the snap. So again, they have nothing to lose right now. They walk in the door, they can do whatever they need to do to help Arkansas win. And so I think you'll see a lot of changes from that standpoint.
Yeah, we'll see what happens overall, but I like Tennessee's chances in this matchup still. I think that uncertainty is always going to be fun to watch, which is another interesting kind of wrinkle in this upcoming matchup here. But one more question for you, Mr. Klingscale. With Tennessee, we know that, look, the SEC per every single season is just absolutely stacked. And I mean, you look at all the teams this year who are just ranked, let alone, regardless of where they are, just in the top 25. I mean, you got teams like Ole Miss, A&M, Texas A&M, that is, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, LSU, Vanderbilt, surprising everyone, being a top 25 team, top 20 at this moment. So where do you see the Vols shaking out in all this? I mean, it's a just grit your teeth type of conference at this moment? Do you think Tennessee is going to be in that upper echelon, we think, or do you think they're going to be maybe middle to lower end of the SEC come end of the year? So we're about halfway through the season at this point.
Well, I think the ball is in Tennessee's court right now. What I mean by that is, they've lost. The only game they've lost has been to Georgia, and that was an overtime game. So going forward, everything is in their court. Now, that being said, they have to take each game as, again, a nameless, faceless opponent. You're going to go out and you're going to work hard and you're going to beat this opponent on this day. We're not going to look past Arkansas getting ready for Alabama next week. Okay, we have to take care of Arkansas, then we have to take care of Alabama, then Kentucky, then Oklahoma. So we have to, these next 3 or 4 weeks will be key in determining what type team Tennessee has. But again, they're capable to run out the string. But you can't win 2 games unless you win 1 game. So right now, the Arkansas game is the only game that matters on the schedule, and they have to look at it like that every single week.
Yeah, you can't underestimate your opponents, regardless of win-loss record, regardless of who's at quarterback, who's in the coaching, who's on the sidelines. If you're home or away, you got to take each game. You got to just, play by play, minute by minute, second by second, because we're the conference that they're in with the SEC, doesn't matter if you're, top of the top or if you're the bottom of the totem pole. All these guys are, 3, 4, 5-star recruits. And we know the potential that they have, the big playability. And I think it's going to be a good game. I think Tennessee should be able to roll in this one and get the easy win. But I think that Arkansas will maybe put up some fits more so this week than we've seen potentially all season long for the Razorbacks. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup in Neyland Stadium come this weekend. And Joey, as we like to do here, we always like to talk about current teams here in Tennessee and talk about the upcoming matchups, talk about the previews, and of course the recaps whenever they play. But we always like to show some love to the legends here, the ones who have paved the way, the ones who trailblazed. And today our legend is going to be Dale Carter. And you talk about trailblazing. I mean, that's what Dale did. I mean, whenever he was with Tennessee and before he was there, of course, with junior college there, Ellsworth, but he did some great work as a safety and also as a kick returner. Just kind of that, that one guy who you look to give you that spark. And, for many seasons in both in Tennessee as well as many years in the NFL, Dale Carter did just that. But give me your thoughts, just your thoughts on our legend here this week. Dale Carter, born November 28th, one day before I was born. I was born 29th. He was born 1969. I was born 97, but that we're not going to get into that. But let's talk about Dale Carter here, Mr. Clinksdale. What are your thoughts on our legend we got showing off here today?
Dale Carter was a game-changing player at the University of Tennessee. He was a game breaker. I mean, he was a 2-time All-American his junior and his senior year or sophomore and junior year, whichever. I can't remember if he left early or not. But he was a 2-time All-American. He was All-American as a returner. He was All-American as a safety. And he made plays all over the field. I mean, he was a solid tackler. He did some great things at the University of Tennessee. Ended up being a first-round pick in the NFL. And, the rest is history. I mean, he had a great career in the NFL. Now, he had some problems, like young guys do from time to time. However, I mean, he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory as a NFL player. That's how great a player Dale Carter was. And again, at Tennessee, a phenomenal safety, a phenomenal returner. And then he goes to the NFL, and guess what? He plays corner, and he's an all-pro at corner. That tells you the kind of athlete that Dale Carter was. And again, a phenomenal Vol.
No doubt about that. And like you said, it's time. I mean, he is a Georgia native, right? Went to Newton High School out there in Covington. So show some love here, as a homegrown product. And like I said, did some good work at Tennessee, as we all know. He was electric, right? He was that, Mr. Electricity you see here in the backfield, getting the returns, run them back for, 25, 26, 30, 40 yards, give or take, getting to the house here and there. But also, like I said, he's not just a one-trick pony. He didn't just get it done in the return game. He was a very reliable defensive back as well, right? In 23 games with Tennessee, he had 9 picks, took 1 back, I believe, for a pick 6 as well. All-American, as you mentioned, Joey, back-to-back years in 90 as well as in 91. All good enough to get him first-round selection with the Kansas City Chiefs. And To his credit, like he said, he had some issues a little bit off the field, but he still carved out a very solid, career in football. Played in parts from 1992 all the way up through 2005, where he ended his time with the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, also like you mentioned, he was a gamer, right? When I was doing my research, right? He missed the entirety of 2004 season due to a blood clot in his lung, but he then came back in 05 and he played with Baltimore. So, that just, to me, just that alone, let alone all the other intangibles he's had, like I said, where he was on the, I believe he, at one point was the highest paid defensive back for a short period of time when he was with Denver in the late 90s. That just shows that, like I said, he'd have some issues, but whenever he was locked in, he was good to go. There wasn't that many better than Dale Carter, whether in the return game, whether in the playing defense, and that's that's who you want on your team. Someone who can get it done. Whether it's when he was a rookie, when he was defensive rookie of the year in '92, when he went to multiple Pro Bowls. I mean, just overall carved out a very good legacy, not just at Tennessee on the field, but on the field as well with the NFL across multiple clubs, and overall turned a nice career, both with Rocky Top as well as the teams he played for throughout his time in the league from 92 to 05, which, I mean, there's not many guys that can play 13 years, for the most part in the NFL, let alone someone who, is going to be returning kicks and punts and whatnot, but also playing good work in the secondary as well. But, Dale Carter, right? I mean, just a solid guy. And I think that, like I said, just we saw a lot of potential, could have maybe a little bit more, but still just a tremendous pick and overall a legendary Vol. And that's why we love talking about him today, reminiscing and looking back on the tremendous career of Dale Carter. Mr. Clinksdale, any final words you got about our Vols legend here today before we wrap up the show?
No, I mean, I was working in the NFL during this time when Dale was there, and you talk to his teammates, you talk to people that played against him. Guess what? Per man, they will tell you how good a football player, an outstanding talent that Dale Carter was. So Dale Carter was a special football player, a special athlete, a supremely talented cornerback in the National Football League. So it was, I'm proud to say he was a Vol.
Yeah, and, for the opposing defenses, I know that a lot of those guys that played with him or played against him have horror stories of number 18. They're locking him down the backfield or running past him, on a kick return. So Dale Carter, our legend here today, talking our Vols to recap, and also our legend here on the show. And speaking of Vols legend, Mr. Joey Clinkscale, as always, thank you so very much, sir, for coming on the program, talking current and past Tennessee football. Always a pleasure with you, sir. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, drop a comment. Let us know how you think the Vols are going to do this weekend against Arkansas. And also, if you have any fond memories, any favorite moments or highlights for Dale Carter, put that in the comments as well. And, of course, we will respond as quick as we can. So, for Mr. Joey Clinkscale, I've been your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers. Enjoy, watch some Dale Carter highlights. And until next time, we'll see you on another live episode of